AI Salon presents. The third Tuesday of the month is the AI Salon meet and greet.
And let's make a note that it's the first Tuesday and the third Tuesday, not every other week.
Because it used to be every other week. We changed that. Like our calendars are all screwed up. When you make a simple change like that, it messes up. The ripple effects are they far and wide. Leah Faston and I are your co-hosts. As always, great to see you. How are you doing? Tell me what's happening.
I'm doing great.
With you.
I'm doing great. What is happening with me? Well, I know this is a little silly, but I don't know if you remember, about a year ago, I started making surface designs for fabric and wallpaper using Midjourney, mixed with other media. So like drawing and making digital images and then feeding it in and working with Midjourney. And I have launched a Spoonflower shop, as I have shared sometimes. And I just passed 3,000 designs in my Spoonflower shop. So that was like, that was like exciting. It's it's exciting. It's like, okay, let's apply this to real world. So that happened this week, which was exciting.
Very cool.
Which is AI related. Sounds cool. Otherwise, I've been doing a lot of regular photography, just regular photos, and interesting conversations as I'm sharing the generative portraits I make. I shouldn't say I shoot with clients. The issues around copyrights that are coming up. So I'm super excited to hear what one of our speakers, Jason Allen, is going to talk about in that related to that, because I feel like we are really limiting our innovation based on our inability for makers to own the copyright to the work they make. So that's coming up a lot. How are you, Kyle?
That'll be good. I'm doing really well. I am. I feel like I am AI breathing right now. I think the lack of OpenAI launching anything has put the industry, as it were, kind of in this holding pattern, like waiting for the next big shoe to drop. So it feels like there's just sort of a relaxing, and it's allowed the doomers to come onto Twitter and go, oh, everything's plateaued. AI is never going to get any better. See, I told you so, you big dumb jerks. It's hype. The bubble just burst. You all losers. And I'm just like, I'm like silently smiling. I'm like, okay. I mean, I guess you've never seen the history of technology. Like, it just gets better, right? So I'm kind of in a nice thing. I have been similarly kind of playing with the video stuff. LTX Studio is one of those, so Nevo's here to talk about that tonight, which I'm really excited about. Thank you, by the way. Nevo is calling in from the other side of the world, so it's very late for him. So we're going to start early because we have two speakers tonight. So Nevo will go first. So really appreciate you being here. But yeah, the world of video right now is accelerating, but it's accelerating in this really fragmented way. Like, I feel like the image side is relatively clear. You've got Midjourney if you want high-end art. You've got a couple of others like Dolly and Ideogram if you want, good text. And like, it's relatively clear. The video space feels very, very unclear to me right now. Like, there's no clear winner. They're all kind of janky and weird. There's this Chinese one, Kling, that's pretty good, but no one knows how to get to it. And, and
I find that being able to personalize training data using Stable Diffusion has been a really important part of the images that I've made. And I just don't understand even how to start using training data and making training data for different video and video applications. And then do I make videos based on the training data? Like, I can't even get my head around how that's done. Whereas now I have a really sense of, I've internalized how to make still images using training data on top of the Stable Diffusion LLM, but I can't quite get my head around videos.
It's kind of a mess. Although the Runway ML Gen 3, they just added keyframes where you can start with an image and say this is either the first frame of the video or the last frame of the video, and then it just sort of fills in the rest. Looks pretty cool. So check that out. Anyway, welcome everybody. This is the AI Salon. Give you a little bit of context about the AI Salon. Leah and I founded the Salon. Our first meeting was December 7th, 2022. That was 1 week after the launch of ChatGPT. And the whole idea here is that we're choosing to use AI rather than have AI choose us.
Yes.
And so the AI Salon tends to be a community of optimists and adventurers and things like that. So let me share my screen. And we'll talk about a couple of things here.
While you're sharing your screen, I want to invite everyone to use the chat to introduce yourself. Put links in that you want to share about where people can find you. We'll drop in links for our online community, and really use that chat to get to know each other. If you have an ask, put it in the chat. We're all here to help each other and grow our community. So please use the chat tonight. Get to know everyone.
Yep. And so one of the things that Leah mentioned it already, and I know we talk about this each time, but I think it's important. No matter where you are on the journey to AI literacy, what we're finding is that there's kind of a specific journey that we all go through, and we kind of are going through it over and over, each and every one of us. And that journey, as we've articulated it, is play first, mindfully create, and then generously lead. And the whole idea of play is actually quite serious. And the basic idea is this: things are moving so fast, the tools are moving so fast, they're evolving so fast. They are so overwhelming in what they can do and what they can't do and where your expectations are, that if you put too many expectations on them while you're learning and too many expectations on yourself that you're going to master a tool, they are effectively not masterable right now. They're just too fragmented and janky and weird. And so that idea of playing first is really important, because in playing, you kind of figure out where the boundaries are. And then mindfully create is this idea of, intentionally taking what you learn and building things with it, and put the AI that you've learned to use. And then the generously lead is do all of that in community, right? So teach others what you're learning, learn out loud. And if you have a question, ask someone, which is counterintuitively generous leadership, because if I ask you for help, it gives you an opportunity to lead. And so this journey is something that we are, really passionate about. Let me jump over to the AI Salon. So if you haven't been to the AI Salon, here's the welcome page when you land there. It's if you could put the link into the chat, it's aisalon.mn.co. Will take you straight to the Mighty Networks. And here's a little mission statement, and then this idea of the AI literacy journey. At the AI Salon, we play first, joyfully exploring generative AI, gaining knowledge and inspiration to mindfully create, surprising ourselves and powerfully meeting challenges, unleashing us to generously lead others, enriching lives, redefining what's possible, and unlocking a new era of human achievement. The other important thing about this community is how we show up. And so with that, as has become our tradition, I want to have Leah share our values with you, because how you show up in this community is critical, and it's a remarkable community because of how people show up. So Leah, will you take us away?
Absolutely. And how you show up is about being human, right? It's what makes us human in the context of what this the interesting conversations we're having are going to continue to have as generative technology becomes more a part of our world. Our first value is curiosity. This is where it all started. Kyle, you and I were curious about AI. We are eager to ask the obvious questions, learn new things, and experiment. Our relentless quest for adventure and exploration ignites our inner spark, transforming our curiosity into unexpected discoveries and newfound passion. Playfulness. We value creativity, joy, and the freedom to experiment. We play first and transform learning into a captivating journey. We collaborate and mindfully create together when we can to learn more, make friends, and develop new circles of trust. Remember, all work and no play is how we did things before the AI Salon. Empathy. We are respectful, inclusive, and kind. We value diverse perspectives, recognizing that our differences make us stronger. We accept that people might be afraid and angry, and we want to work to understand them. We actively participate, practice gratitude, and acknowledge the efforts and successes of those around us. Humans matter. Bravery. We have the courage to step into the unknown, taking bold actions in the face of fear and challenging ourselves to push the boundaries of what we thought possible. Let's face it, with everything changing as fast as it is, we're all making this up as we go along. Might as well be brave about it. I'm not going to say the suck it up, buttercup one.
Suck it up, buttercup.
I don't know if I like that one. Okay, generosity. We are willing to share our resources, feedback, and wisdom with others and support each other's growth and development. There is so much happening and so much to learn, we can't possibly keep up with it all. Understand that even if something is obvious to you, it might be a profound revelation to someone else. Learn out loud, share what you know, and generously feed.
Yeah, that's it. And so the other thing to know about the AI Salon community is that there's just lots to do here. We're actually going to be working over the month of August and into September to simplify and streamline the experience, but there's lots and lots to do here. In the community section, if you haven't introduced yourself officially, go do that. Go introduce yourself generously, say who you are and what you're up to. There's ask for help if you want that. There's a list of tools that we maintain about if you're trying to figure out where to start. This is a big, long list of tools you can do. And there's lots and lots of other things to do. There's a show and tell area, and there are guilds. And so with that, what I would like to do is invite any of our guild leaders to raise your hand, and I will call on you if you want to give us an update on your guild and let people know what's happening and why they should be paying attention. So, who's got an update or an ad?
I'll just jump in first with the creative salon, Great. And then we can go from there. So I wanted to take a minute to say that 2D Generative Art Workshop with Leah has a couple of really interesting long form posts right now. In the art, we call them articles, which are longer form posts about creating with generative AI. Both Vicky Baptiste and Claire Jacobs have commented, put a really couple really interesting pieces in the last week or two. So have a look and join, and let us know what you're working on creatively, and share a little bit about what you know.
Great.
I wanted to share. Thanks.
I'll call on you.
Okay, all the guild leaders, don't raise your hand at once. Maybe there's no need.
John Leland in the house, coming in hot.
Call me. Hey, everybody. John Leland, Video Guild, whatever. The Video Guild is still figuring out what it is. Although I'm pretty serious about testing out Synthesia and creating a personal avatar. Gary Vaynerchuk, if you don't know who he is, a big marketing maven, is now saying that influencers are going to be seriously damaged by AI influencers, artificial influencers, virtual influencers, whatever you want to call it. And that's something that I've avoided, but I think I'm going to be playing with. And so I think we'll do something in the Video Guild with that. And my tip of the week is I just discovered this guy called Kai Fu Lee, who, if you haven't, have you heard of him, Kyle?
No, I saw your TikTok on it today, and I was like, oh, I haven't heard of that guy. So
YouTube pushed him to me. This guy's been doing AI for 40 years.
Wow.
And awesome. As a veteran of Apple, Google, and Microsoft, and now has a startup that's bringing a chat GPT like AI to China. And he has a book called AI 2041 that he co-wrote with a science fiction writer that has 10 scenarios in a science fiction style that then he explains about the future of AI. One of the smartest guys I've ever come across. I highly recommend him.
That's awesome.
I'll put the name in the
chat. Yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah,
awesome.
and I have those links since I made that TikTok you just mentioned this morning.
Yeah, cool.
John, will you also put your TikTok link in there? Your at?
Sure, and I did put a bunch of links. I'm at John Bridges, JONCO. I'll put my TikTok in there. I'm happy to.
You influencer. You. By the way, you've got to see John's twerking videos on TikTok. They're the best. Peter Kaminsky, speaking of twerking.
Yeah, I twerk all the time. Hi, I'm Peter Kaminsky. I host the Learn and Do with Peter Sub-Guild, and we kind of do practical applications of AI, especially LLMs and image generators. Also, things like how to use your computer effectively so that you can use AI. Sometimes you need to do stuff with your computer. Sometimes it's simple
things
stuff.
Like how do you use a mouse?
Yeah, how to use a mouse. Yeah,
exactly
that kind of stuff. We can help. and also how to integrate with things like APIs and stuff like that. What the heck is an API? What the heck is a token? So any kind of level, mostly beginner level, starter level, and kind of intermediate. I'm happy to go to like pretty advanced level, but I don't think that's exciting for most people. So we don't do that too much. I've got a new schedule for sessions, Wednesdays, kind of latish afternoon. And then we also do a thing that we've been having a lot of fun with. We've got a Mid-Journey room that runs Mondays and Thursdays midday. So check the events tab in the Learn and Do subguild for your time zone and RSVP. And feel free to ask questions, bring up topics. Love to see you there. Thanks.
Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, Peter. Jane Endicott,
Hello.
how you doing? Good to
Hello.
see you.
Can you hear me okay?
Yep.
Did I plug in this microphone properly? Okay. Hi, guys. My name is Jane. I am the leader for the Writer's Circle. We meet about every other week. Roughly, someone asked me with the meeting changes what my plans were, and the answer is I don't know yet. So I'll figure it out. But we do meet semi-regularly, and if there was like I feel like with the Writer's Circle, of all the values in the Salon, generosity definitely embodies the Writer's Circle the most, because everyone brings something unique and different to the table, and everyone is using these tools in in their own way. It's that I think that's the most exciting thing about it right now is that there's so many different ways that you can use these tools for writing. So the next one is scheduled for next week. It's on the calendar, and hope to see you there.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Vicky Baptiste.
Sorry, I'm distracted. I'm trying to migrate a website, but I didn't want to miss the salon. Joy Purdy and I host the Ethics Guild, and we did have a meeting lined up for this month, but unfortunately our speaker couldn't make it, so rescheduling. But please come and visit us in the Ethics Guild, because ethics are important, and we'd love to see you there.
Beautiful. I'm looking at one thing here. I saw Brandon. Brandon, are you in here? Do you want to talk about or Claire, either of you in here? Want to talk about Claire's here.
I am also here.
All right, great. You guys want to talk about I guess it's a club, sub-guild club, whatever it is. It's awesome.
Yeah, thanks. We had our kickoff yesterday, and we are not specified enough at this point to be a guild, because we don't fall into any one bucket. We are all about creating AI life hacks and signal boosting AI life hacks from across the community. So
And that's what it's called, right? AI Life Hacks?
It is the AI Life Hacks Club.
Cool.
So anything from using ChatGPT to write children's bedtime stories, to using Excel VBA and having it help you write some behind the scenes stuff in Excel and Microsoft Office. It's a really fun club and a lot of passionate people. Claire, anything to add there?
I will just reiterate, very fun, and the opportunity for everybody to share and to learn and to help each other and to get help.
Yep. And like the spirit of it's really good, right? It's life hacks. It's like, here's fun little ways to use AI, right? It's play first, but it's also generously leading, and because it's just really good, really exciting. So thank you both for leading that up and for those who are participating. So, okay, good. Awesome. If anyone else has anything guild-wise, just let me know. Otherwise, I'm going to move on. Danielle.
Hi, guys. I'm Danielle. I do the Mad Libs, but I haven't done one in a while. I'm gonna meet up with Pete hopefully here soon. We're gonna schedule to make okay. So I'm really critical of myself when I make those Mad Libs. They sometimes will take me all day just to make one, and then when I post one, I'll hate it, and and I won't go back to it because I hated the last one. And so I'm gonna meet with Pete to create some type of a GPT that I'm happy with.
Yeah.
Because I can't spend 4 to 6 hours creating one, because I want you guys to like them and I want to like them. And if I don't like them and I give it to you guys and I'm like, oh, so anyway, that's
Yep.
why I haven't put one out.
No, it's brilliant though. I want to really encourage, like, I think it's a brilliant approach. And I think just in general, us as saloners using AI to, like, especially if it's something like that where it takes you all that time and
Yeah.
it's stressful and you tie too much, self-worth to it. Screw it, man. Give that to the AI. That's like my mantra lately has been, I've been saying, stop using your brain. Just let the AI do that part that's hard for you, right? So it's great.
I really want to encourage people like who have never tried making artwork with AI. The Mad Libs are the best way to get your feet wet because you're basically just filling in the blanks. You're copying and pasting a prompt and you're just filling in the blanks for, like, here goes an adjective, just like you would do Mad Libs as you would have when you were a kid. So hopefully, all right. Thanks, guys.
Awesome. Thanks.
Thanks, Danielle.
All right, cool. Okay, let me share my screen.
The Mad Libs are great fun. And I do think
really
that one of the hardest things, even still, I mean, I've been writing prompts for a year and a half, is still writing the prompts, right?
Yep.
That's still, we're still writing prompts. At the end of that's what we're doing. We're writing prompts. And it's, Mad Libs are an incredibly fun way to not actually have to write a prompt. Daniel's already done the hard work. You just copy and paste it and add your words in, and it's really neat to see how other people interpret it. So
exactly. Just a quick update. I was supposed to be in Washington, D.C. last month, and that trip got postponed because of security in D.C. And it has been rescheduled for September 11th. It's still, I'm pretty sure we're still flying in 12 AI entrepreneurs, and we're going to be going around the Capitol speaking to, I think I was scheduled to speak with Hickenlooper, like all the Colorado senators and a couple of Congress people. So I don't know what it's going to be this time, but really exciting. So that's still on. The other thing I wanted to share, just in terms of news, if you didn't hear about it, there was some fairly significant changes or leadership exits at OpenAI. Greg Brockman's an interesting one because he's not leaving. He's taking a leave of absence through December. So he's coming back January, apparently. And after they announced it and after there was all this news, he sort of said, hey, I've been here for 9 years and it's been really, a lot. And so I'm taking a break until next year because things are going to start accelerating. So I don't think he's leaving, but, it was interesting timing. And then John Schulman, who was a co-founder and headed up alignment, is heading over to Anthropic. So a number of senior people continue to bleed over to Anthropic, which is good for Claude and Anthropic, but interesting for OpenAI. And then Peter Dang, who headed up ChatGPT product development, also left the company. So big changes there. I don't know what the implications are, but here's my thought on it. We take it for granted that OpenAI has this thing called ChatGPT that everyone in the world knows about. So that makes them look like a consumer product company. They started out as a research company. They started out as a nonprofit research company, right? And they're sort of evolving. The success of ChatGPT sort of de facto turned them into a consumer product company. So how you run a consumer product company and how you run a research lab are very different things. So it's not surprising to me that there's shakeups from some of the early founders, but there's shakeups from some of the early founders. So I don't know if it means they achieved AGI or they didn't achieve AGI or whatever it is, but that's a big change. All right. So that's all I have. So with that, because we have two speakers, I want to jump in early, and that lovely image we will talk about a lot with our second speaker, but our first speaker is Nevo. I'm gonna allow you to pronounce your last name because I've tried to do some last names on this and it hasn't gone well for me. But he's the community manager of Lightrix. Really appreciate you being here. LTX Studio. I think many of you on this call were part of the couple of evenings where they were doing some license drops, and we kind of bombed their Discord and got a bunch of AI Salon people licenses to LTX Studios. So Nevo, as the community manager, was quite well aware of who we are. So really appreciate you being here, sir, and really excited to have you. So with that, why don't I turn it over to you, and really excited to hear what you have to say and what you're going to show us.
Hi, and thanks for the awesome introduction. And it's very nice to be here, and thanks for inviting me. I'm really excited to talk a bit about how I see things going and our perspective of video generating and everything related to um, storytelling, basically, with the AI and technology nowadays. I'm Nevo. My last name is Himmelhoch. It's German. It's German for high sky, by the way. Himmelhoch.
Nice.
And I have a background in computer science and industrial design, with bachelor's degrees in both fields. Currently, I'm completing my master's in design and technology. And I work for LTX in the LTX Studio team as a community manager. I did this introduction just to tell you all that I'm very passionate about design and technology. I think that these both different disciplines can and are very much integrated, and I really think that the way we use technology and the way we think of how technology can be used to reach certain creative spaces is very much about areas and realms like design thinking. I don't know if you guys are familiar with Bruce Ma, which is a very big designer nowadays. He's one of the biggest designers. He's done SML Excel, which is an amazing architecture book, which he's designed in the 80s. And he's also a design philosopher. And when he says, what he says about designing is that anyone can be a designer, which is kind of strange because I've went to university for a few years and I studied design, right? But then how he explains it is that he says that designing is seeing a future, imagining a future, and then reaching it and trying to accomplish this future and trying to get the way and pave the way to get to it. So I think that with technology and how we see technology, and this just throws me right into speaking of LTX Studio and Lightrix, because Lightrix actually, I'm not sure of the current percentage, but I think it used to be about 4 or 5 times more designers than other tech companies have in average. And this approach of design thinking and thinking of the end product, the end platform, the user that needs to use it and what they need to create, and the creative process, and then restructuring technology to form something that could give you a technical aspect, a practical tool to use, is something that we are very passionate about at LTX Studio. So that's a bit about LTX Studio, and I do have some slides I'm going to share.
Yeah, let me just so you know, from a branding standpoint, here's some design thinking for you. So the way Google Design meets, your background is flipped backwards for us, but it looks right for you. So if you flip it backwards for you, it'll be right for us.
Hold on.
There's some crappy design thinking. Thanks. There you go. That looks better.
Okay. Good job. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Saying that.
That's really cool though about Lightrix. That's the approach there. It actually, it's funny. I'm excited to see what you're about to show, but I mean, it's evident in the product that there's people that are thinking at kind of this higher thinking level. So I'm excited to see what you're going to show us.
If you guys are not familiar with Lightrix, which is the company behind LTX Studio, Lightrix is also the company behind Facetune, which is an editing app which has hundreds of millions of users. And we already had this AI approach for our products, and we incorporated them, but there used to be some some kind in the background, some sort of like a background kind of powered platform that uses AI. And with LTX Studio, we took our knowledge and tried to understand how we can get into the field of video with generative AI, and then give a different approach, as I talked before. So I'm just gonna share a quick video, and I've made a few slides. Let's see if I can find the right. I'll just share my entire screen and go there.
If you're sharing audio, you might need to share a tab.
I have like Keynote slides.
Keynote should be okay. Is there audio you want to share?
Yeah.
Then go to your settings and just make sure that sound cancellation is turned off, or noise cancellation.
All right. Hold on. So I can't really share my entire screen. I need to reopen. Like, I've changed the system preferences, but now I need to reopen to my Chrome. Let's just see if I can maybe.
You might need to log out and log back in.
Yeah. So I'll be back in just a minute.
Okay, that's fine.
While he's coming back, can we say that we just delivered the first AI Salon newsletter this week, and we'd love feedback.
Woo! Congratulations. That's awesome. Thank you, Vicky, for putting that together. And anyone who contributed to it. Brandon, thank you so much. That's a big step, an actual newsletter. And where was it sent? It was sent to a mailing list?
It was sent to the mailing list, so if anyone didn't get it, you're not on the mailing list and you need to give me your email address. Or you can go to the website and sign up.
And I wanted to say that watching Vicky put this together and all the work that went into it, this is a really great newsletter. It's a very cool thing to check out.
Cool.
So you definitely want to look for, if you saw something on your inbox, you didn't read it, look through it. I think it's going to be a really important piece of information to sort of stay up on what's going on, especially if you're not someone who spends that much time in the mighty networks. That's one of the things I appreciated about it. So you still get all
it sort of pulls some of that activity out. That's great.
Absolutely. Yep.
There's LTX Studio.
There you are.
So you're able to see my screen, right? And the slides we have. Awesome.
Yep.
So we're gonna start with a quick introduction to what LTX Studio is. And it seems to be stuck. No, it's okay.
This is the future of visual storytelling.
Wait, we're not seeing the video, Nevo.
You're not seeing it?
No. Where are you playing the video? We heard it.
Hold on.
There you go.
Don't show this again.
Yeah.
Infinite mirror. Oh my God, I'm so sorry for that. That's
okay.
Horrendous. Can you see that? Can you see my slides?
Yeah, we see your slides.
And if I just go into slide mode, do you see that?
No, it's not going into slide mode. We just see it as a.
You should switch to Zoom. The slide mode is a separate share. You can't, if you're sharing, you have to put it into slide mode and then share that.
This is the future.
Let's see if
this is the future.
Can you see that?
Visuals.
Yeah, we can only hear it.
We're still on your keynote, not in play mode.
That's terrible.
So this is the future.
If you go, just flip down to the second slide without going into presentation mode, maybe. All right.
All right.
Whatever.
Again.
Pop it back up. Close the formatting pane.
So I'm sharing my entire screen.
Right now, we don't see anything.
Okay, I'm in my keynote.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're on the second slide. Yeah, close down the formatting pane to the right.
Yeah.
Just hit the play button.
Can you see?
Yes.
And now
this is the future of vision.
Was that okay?
Yep, we're good.
Oh, awesome. Okay, so let's go.
This is the future of visual storytelling. LTX Studio gives form to your ideas, bringing them to life. Just a handful of words can transform your concept into a story. Weave it into a compelling narrative.
Can we make it a regular courtroom drama set in New York City?
Sure. Then generate to elevate it into a grand production with music, dialogue, and sound effects.
Stop. Yeah, I like it. But can the car be red?
You got it.
You're gonna hate me, but can we try it with a guy?
No problem.
Actually, let's go back to a girl.
Okay.
How about storyboarding?
No problemo.
We need an extra scene here.
Simple.
So I have some ideas about casting.
Okay.
Can we talk lighting?
Sure.
Does this thing do titles?
How's this? Whatever your creative wishes, LTX Studio harnesses the power of AI and gives you the ability to supercharge the creative production process. From camera angles to casting, through styling and contextual editing, LTX is a holistic movie maker for all. LTX Studio. Join the waitlist.
Okay. After making it through the technical issues, the LTX Studio, so pretty much it's a storytelling platform. But since we've experimented with a lot of users, we had tens of thousands and hundreds of thousands of people subscribing to our waitlist and getting access to use LTX Studio. And specifically, one of the things that I'm trying to do is to understand the user's needs and the community's needs from it. And we've taken under consideration that a lot of professional use cases had needed to be considered, and we've actually tweaked a lot of things and added features that I'm going to show you in a bit. But beforehand, I also want to talk about the inspiration and you could say what's behind the LTX Studio and our approach as we started to talk before, and my personal approach for design and technology. This is a picture taken in 1932, I think, from the Disney Studios, Walt Disney Studios. And on the left over here, you can see a person named Webb Smith. He was an animator for Walt Disney, and he actually has done what a lot of creative people nowadays use for their creative process, is that he took some notes and he scribbled some pictures trying to show the movements and the story that he imagined and stick them on the wall. And you could say it's like a sticky note or post-it, depends where you're coming from. So he actually was the first one to do the modern time storyboard, right? So you can see them over here looking at the storyboard that they're creating for a film. And what I love about this is that it's a small story that tells everything about creative processes, because us as creative people and people that are trying to achieve a creative goal, whether we are designers, as Bruce Mao thinks everyone is, but even if we don't think that everyone can design everything, any person that wants to achieve a creative goal goes through some creative process, meaning they need to try and ping pong with their thoughts, inspiration. They need to come up with ideas, a mood board maybe, have some background in the creative aspect that they're trying to achieve, get to know the culture, what's behind other maybe products or things that are similar to what they want to create, and then they get inspiration. And all of this creative process is something that we have taken under consideration with LTX Studio, because we want people and creative people to have the ability to play around with their creativity and to have this creative process integrated and to use AI to actually help their creative process. And I think for me, Webb Smith, and just finding, a specific technique, it's not very technological, isn't it? It's just papers on the wall, but just finding a specific technique that created a tool that transferred entirely how we create nowadays is just an amazing inspiration for me, I think. So with LTX Studio, this is one of the things that we do. We do storyboards, right? We have a story that you can break down either from a prompt or from a script. And I'm going to show you the different features in a minute. But then it breaks down into scenes, like complete scenes and shots and a storyboard. So for here, we can see a storyboard for a contest that we've made. And one of the LTX Studio community members called Matt Allen, he had an idea for an advertisement for LTX Studio. And we actually made his idea come real. We actually paid for in a traditional production and a real production. And I think we pay, like, it was estimated at around $150,000. We just wanted to experiment. How can you take a tool, an AI tool, and integrate it through traditional processes as well? So he had imagined an entire scenario, an entire synopsis, script, characters that he wanted to use for the commercial that he pitched us. And after he pitched us his story, we decided to break it down with LTX Studio and then to visualize it. So in minutes, he was able to visualize the entire advertisement that he wanted to make. And then we took it and we made a production out of it. And that's this video.
And cut. Not my vision. Honestly, I'd rather direct.
Did you say you want to direct? Because I really want to direct.
I think it was way more epic.
Wait, Nevo, stop it for a second.
What if it's in North?
Yeah,
What
Nevo.
if it's vaporwave, man?
Yeah, I
Hey,
can direct.
Nevo,
Now you can be the director you've always wanted to be. LTX Studio creates stunning previs, pitch decks, and style references using AI. Generate 4 video previews in real time, streamlining your visual storytelling process.
hey Nevo, can you stop the video for a second? Stop the video for a second. Stop the video for a second. Go to your settings and go to audio and turn off noise cancellation, and then play the video again.
Sorry for the...
That's okay, because what it does is it Google filters out all of the music, so we only heard people talking, so we missed most of it. Yeah, exactly. So it's not fair. Like, we should see the whole thing.
Hold on, sharing. No, here.
Yeah,
settings.
Settings. Yep. There you go. Turn off noise cancellation. Yep, right there. That's
Sorry.
it.
Do you want to see it again?
Yeah. Yeah, show it again.
Okay.
Oh wait, you turned it back on. Looks like.
That's it. Thank you for helping me out with all of the technical issues.
And Nevo, I have a quick question about what we're looking at. Is what we're looking at made with LTX Studio, or is what we're looking at
So
made
it's not. This is like a traditional. I'm going to address it like right after we finish. Yeah.
Okay, great. Just clarifying that. It looks really good.
And cut. Not my vision.
Wait,
Honestly,
now it's not sharing. Now it's not sharing again.
It's not sharing the sound at all?
No. It's sharing the sound,
it's
but
not sharing anything.
The video is not sharing. So do what you did before, where you close that, turn off sharing, turn it back on. Yeah, exactly.
Thank you, everyone, for your patience. I appreciate it.
You've all been there.
Yeah, exactly. Not on you.
Very normal.
This is on Google.
Does this work? Did you hear and see?
I think so.
Okay, so I'm gonna hit play and let me know.
Yep. No, we're still not hearing it.
You're not hearing.
We're not hearing the music. Go back to your settings and see if the settings reverted back. I have a feeling they probably did.
Let's see. Settings.
Yeah, go to your settings.
Entire window. To share audio, share a tab instead.
No, go to your settings of not share. Don't go to the share window. Go to your settings and make sure noise cancellation is still off.
Now it's back off.
Okay, close that window. Now share.
Close. Now sharing. Let's see, it's still closed.
It's gonna be so worth it.
I hope so. I definitely hope so. Yeah, it's still off.
Okay, good.
I'm gonna hit play.
No, we're not seeing it in presentation mode. Maybe just go to that slide rather than leave it out of presentation mode and just hit play on the video.
Can you hear and see?
Now we can hear it. We just can't see it. I don't know what you did before, but it worked.
Hold on. I have an idea. I'm gonna open where it's capped on my Google Drive, and then it will be through a tab, a Google tab.
See?
Is Google trying to be like Apple, where everything is integrated
and incompatible?
And you can't use anything outside of the platform.
Yeah. There's definitely something going on there.
Hold on, it's loading. Okay, add. I have it. I think I have it. 1 second. Yes, I do. All right. Yep, that's the one. Okay, I'm gonna share a tab now. Let's see. Can you see my screen?
It's coming.
Share this tab.
Yes.
Okay, can you see the video?
Yes.
And now let me know if when I hit play you can hear as well.
Yes.
And cut. Not my vision. Honestly, I'd rather direct.
Did you say you want to direct? Because I really want to direct.
What if it was way more epic? Like, they should get me to direct.
What if it's a noir? Yeah, I could direct.
What if it's vaporwave, man? Yeah, I could direct.
Now you can be the director you've always wanted to be. LTX Studio creates stunning previs, pitch decks, and style references using AI. Generate 4 video previews in real time, streamlining your visual storytelling process.
And cut.
LTX Studio. Join the waitlist now. Access is being granted daily.
All right.
Beautiful.
So now I'm gonna go back to the keynote. Hopefully it will let me, and I'll show you again the storyboard that we created with Matt using LTX Studio, and you can see how his vision had actually gone into reality. So this was done before of the production, okay? These actors, everything here is generated by LTX Studio, the entire storyboard. And then he could also animate each shot and decide on the camera angle, the shot type. And he sat down with the director and they chose the casting for the characters that he imagined. So everything, LTX Studio had helped him with all of the creative process to get and reach to the final output. So I think that answers a bit of the question of, was this generated by AI? No, but this was definitely powered by AI, and AI was a significant part of that creative process. And this is something that I think is a very important note to give, because everyone's talking about, will AI, replace creative minds or creative people? And we can also use AI just to help out in creative processes and how we integrate it to help us become better creatives. So talking a bit about the features that we added to make sure that this happens, we added 3 entry points. We used to have just a prompt entry point where you just wrote like a very, very thin synopsis, like a prompt for images that you do in other platforms. And we have added a start from scratch, meaning that you start with a blank page and you slowly build up the scenes and the shot that you have. We also have another entry point where you can actually input, you can drag in the script, an entire script. And you guys talked a bit about writing with LLMs and ChatGPTs and stuff like that. So you can generate a script using ChatGPT and then just put this into LTX Studio and then visualize for the first time in just 5 minutes how you would want to imagine the story. And then you can also edit it. And I'll talk a bit more about that. So imagine that you just drag the script to LTX Studio, generated a storyboard, generated a film. You have all of the shots, you have all of the videos, you've controlled all of the camera angles and the characters and the casting and everything in it. But then you decide that the film actually needs to be film noir or comics or animated. You can just change the style reference from any style that you bring, or you can also choose from presetted styles that we give. That means that you can, with minutes, decide how to change and reimagine your whole story. We also have a pitch deck, which automatically is generated once you finish a story, and then it outputs the pitch deck, so you can use it to pitch your idea and share it to other people and talk about your idea when you want to present it. These are just a couple of features. I will, I think, show. I'm gonna stop my sharing again.
Yeah, if you showed the actual interface, I'd love to see how to get into that storyboard mode, because I haven't figured out how to get there. I'm always in the one with all the cards on it.
Sure.
Nina, you have a question? You have your hand raised.
Yeah.
You're muted. Guess not. Go ahead. Carry on.
Okay. So
you have about 15 minutes left.
Cool. So this is how the entry point looks like when you enter LTX Studio. These are projects that I've already made, and these are the 3 entry points that I mentioned. Just a prompt, a script, starting from a script or a synopsis, and start from scratch. I'm gonna show you one of the projects that I had. So once you break down a script, for example, it just automatically breaks it down into scenes, which you can see on the vertical, on the horizon line. These are scenes, and then on the vertical you can see the shots. So each one of these is a shot, and you can change the prompt, but it broke it down into different shots. And then you can also re-change the entire scene settings, meaning if it's right now dark and winter and rainy, from the lighting and weather, you can change it to like sunny lighting and summer weather. And it will just regenerate the entire scene.
That's amazing. That's so cool.
To have a different, a completely different setting. You can also change the location and the sound. You can put sounds over. And I talked about like different styles that you can use. So over here you have like the presetted styles that you have, like anime and cinematic you can use, but you can also have the style reference. So if I put here, I guess you can't see that, but I'm opening right now this image that you might be able to see in this small thumbnail. But once I hit apply, it will regenerate the entire storyboard to match the style that I just imported.
And you did that in project settings, so it affects all of the scenes, correct?
Exactly, yeah.
Wow, look at that. That's amazing.
And this was the
so
reference,
cool.
right?
Yeah.
This was the style reference. And you
Very
can see
cool.
how everything has changed with regards.
Very
So
cool.
if I go back, which I can just do with Control Z, another significant thing that we try to tackle is character consistency, which everyone knows is a big and a huge thing for a story. Like you need to have the exact same character going through the story that you tell. And if it doesn't look like the same character, that's a problem. So for this, we've made this casting dedicated zone where you can add characters or edit them. For example, this is the screen for Luca. He's 17 years old. His essence is resourceful teenager, but we can change his appearance from being a male to just the quickest example to being a female. And then Luca is changed. And once I apply that, you can see all of the screens below are regenerated and Luca is turned into a female.
Lucia.
Lucia. Once you hit, for example, the delete of a character, once you delete a character, the entire story is being retold and the storyboard is also being redone with the fact that this character is not in the story anymore.
Wow.
So that's also, and the same for when you add a character.
Amazing.
Wow.
Hey, there's two questions, Nevo. Let me have
sure.
Cindy Kuhn, I know, is a huge fan of LTX and made a lot of projects with it. So Cindy, question for Nevo.
Yes, I'm a huge fan. I was part of the stalking group that went in and Kyle and got a license because I had been on the wait list for a while. So I'm having a blast with your product because I'm a creative and it just lets me do fun stuff that I'm not doing for any purpose other than extreme play. So I was going to ask you, you started to talk about it just now, but I just want to a little further with you on the consistency of character.
Yeah.
So it isn't totally consistent yet still.
Right.
So you started to delve into that's the hope, but just your thoughts on that. And I know it's AI, so it is what it is, but that's when I feel like when that hits, it moves for me from play to a pretty big use.
Right. I absolutely agree with you. It's a good point, and I'd love to know how many weeks ago did you join?
When did we do that run up that we all did?
Probably 6 weeks ago. It was whenever you did that big drop of 200. That was probably 2 months ago, six weeks ago, 2 months ago.
Okay, so if it was about 2 months ago, I don't know if you had any experience with trying to generate non-human characters for your stories, but up until a few weeks ago, we didn't have like non-human consistency.
I noticed that. That was, yeah.
And we've actually pushed and put in a lot of effort to make this better. So slowly and surely, we're getting there, like to a point where we'll be able to control more things about the characters that we want and to remain the consistency with all of the appearance of the character, including the clothing throughout the scene or through different shots and the facial expressions and the face looks and everything around it. But right now it's still not perfect, but we're definitely trying to reach that point.
Okay, cool. John Leland has his hand raised.
Well, and I'm getting sensitive about the time because I want to see what happens. Nevo, this is fascinating, and I'm very intrigued. My big question is, so I want you to get to the next stage where you generate the videos, And my big question is, does it lip sync with those characters? If you put in a voiceover script, or you put in what's up with that?
That's a good question, because up until now we only had narration for LTX Studio. And the reason behind this is that we didn't like anything on the market for lip syncing. I don't know if you've experienced with lip syncing, but something that I see the laughter, but something with lip sync that is now out in the open is that you have a static background, right? Like you only lip sync from an image, and then only the face moves,
Right.
but the entire background is static.
Right.
And this is something that isn't very good for storytelling and for videos. So this was something very specific that we wanted to do. And that's why we actually made our own model, and we are training it ourselves. And I don't want to get too many details, but I will stay tuned if I were you.
It's coming. Okay, that's good. You don't have to say anything. I do hope you can show us some new stuff. But Leah has her hand raised.
Yeah,
Leah.
I'm totally blown away, and I'm still sort of getting my head around Facetune. So LTX is like even totally blowing my mind. So I have two questions for you. One is that I'm curious. You just mentioned it. Are you guys working with your own LLM that you're building, or do you work on top of another LLM?
So for all of the models that we have, we either license and train them with our own, or make them our own, like develop them our own. We have an amazing engineer team, which is always on the work either, and an amazing research team, which is always trying to look out for new developments and new models that we can develop ourselves.
Got it.
Yep. Either taking stuff from licensed one or making our own.
Very cool.
How many total employees?
Entire Lightrix is about 500 people. I think on LTX Studio we have around a few tens, up to 100. I'm not sure.
And I have one more question that has to do with like the way generative art looks. So something I think a lot about is I'm a commercial photographer, and my work looks like my work, right? What I make looks like my work. And something I find happens a lot with generative art is that it all kind of looks the same. So it's about content. We put different content in, but it all kind of looks like it was made with a generative tool. It's very identifiable. And I'm curious about what are the opportunities for companies to pair with existing artists who already have a very specific voice and a very specific style, so that they could partner to help fix that, but then also monetize that? Like what would that look like?
It's a very interesting question. I think it's two different questions. One is about monetizing, and the other is about like bringing your own identity, like style identity, into the work that you do. So I'm gonna start with the styling question. And I think with style, this is something that we are also very passionate about, like getting people having the ability to express their like own identity through this tool is something that was very important, and also is something that we heard of. Like this note that you just gave is something that we have been we've been told that for a while, and we thought of how we can fix that. So I actually showed one of the answers that we've developed for that, which is the style reference. And I think if you develop like your own style, and then even if you manage to create something that you feel like is representing the style, using style reference is amazingly good. Like it's crazy how much it captures the essence of the style that you used. I'm extremely happy about this. And also another thing that I heard about like the typical AI kind of style that you see. This is also something that from our experience with users, we learn over time, like a lot of people mention that it's amazing, like the platform is amazing and the videos generated could be very cool and realistic, but sometimes, and most of the time, characters look directly at the camera. And when you try to produce like real movies, you don't have shots with everyone looking straight at the camera, breaking the fourth wall, you know? And this is also something that we are working on. Like we're always getting these responses from people about monetizing. I think you can always think of how you can get the output that you generate and then, you know, go to markets, try to showcase it, go to film festivals. There are a lot of AI film festivals nowadays as well. But also, I think as a creative, as a creator yourself, we always try to find the right tools that we use in our creative process. And these tools are what build us to give something that we can monetize afterwards. So I'm also thinking of LTX as something that you can use to get to a point that you can produce something to monetize.
Yeah, really interesting stuff. I'll follow up. I have a lot of questions about Facetune and commercial photography, and I'll follow up with you on LinkedIn.
All right, we have a few minutes left, Nevo. Are there any sneak peeks you can give us, or anything? You know, can you talk about future, where it's going, what you're excited about? Any AI Salon exclusives you can share with us? That
so very, very soon. I already revealed like the big news. We're gonna have the lip sync incorporated and dialogue being enabled through the platform. I won't say when.
Do you have a time? Yeah, you can't say when. Do you is it? Are we weeks? Are we months? Are we?
We're probably weeks.
Okay, good, awesome.
Yeah,
awesome.
We're closer than ever.
That's really exciting. One question I have for you: the initial base image generation model seemed like it was sort of Stable Diffusion, 2 or 3. Like it was relatively early. It felt like a relatively early image generation model. And I know that you could sort of go to Midjourney and you could copy an image and paste it in, but it wasn't as integrated if you did that. Is there going to be an option to use different generation models as the base model where you could select them, or talk about your base model and how that's improving?
Yeah, so as I said before, we were using different models for different outputs that we need to generate. Like no other platform, generative AI platform, currently offers so much capabilities. And behind that, the reason is that behind that, there are multiple, like a lot of different models that we use. We do have plans, which I also can't very much
talk about. That's fine.
Can't really talk about.
You can tell us, but you'd have to show us.
The approach you're talking about for developing some models that will also be used, as APIs and stuff like that is something that is very interesting for us. It's a realm that is very intriguing.
Yeah.
Also, integrating other models into our platform is something that, like, I would love personally. I would love to work with other like model companies and integrate them into our model our platform as well.
And I think, that potentially goes to what Leah was asking about. If she's got models set up on some monetizable platform and that can plug into LTX, and someone can say, "Oh, I want the Leah Fasten aesthetic," right? And they just click a button and she gets the money. Then that's awesome. Corey Sandler, last question goes to you for Nevo.
So in terms of character references, Heather, thank you so much for all of this, first of all. Is there a way that, for example, Leah or myself could upload an image of me as the character, or an actor, or an image of a person that then becomes the constant character? So we're not using AI to actually create the initial imaging of the person or the character, but then we are able to use that through your technology to create all of the different shots that we want of that person.
Yeah, so you see Luca here has a face that was generated, but you'll have to believe me because you can't see right now that I'm dragging my own face.
Okay.
Oh, cool.
To this.
Yep.
Hold on, let me find it. I think that will do.
Or just take a screenshot of your face here.
And then if it accepts it, because I think I might have put some, okay, let's see.
We can see that.
So then this is me right now, right? It kind of looks like me.
Yeah.
Wait. Hold on. Let's see. Yeah, it's kind of a 17-year-old.
Yeah, it's in the neighborhood.
Version of me, isn't it?
That's amazing.
Okay.
In my mind, Luca.
That's a really great thing. Thank you for
Very interesting
clarifying.
thing. Yeah.
And
It's mind-blowing.
Exactly, Leah.
Get into shot editing and motion, camera motion, advanced modes, duration of
the clip,
like the clip, the FPSs, special effects that you can use.
That was a question I had. How do you go into storyboard mode?
This is the storyboard.
No, you had a mode where you just showed all the thumbnails in your presentation. It was just the thumbnails without the details. Is that a view that you can have in the interface?
Oh yeah, this is the pitch deck.
Okay. So you export the pitch deck and it does it like that?
Yeah, let me try and find an example of a pitch deck.
Got it. Okay.
Okay, here's the pitch deck.
I was like looking everywhere for how do I get that view?
Hold on. Yeah, that's pitch deck. So this is the story that was, you can see that, right?
Yep.
Also, when I open it up.
So this is a PDF. So this is exported directly out of LTX.
Yeah,
Studio.
this was automatically generated from the
I've never
story
played
that
with that. This is why you have to play, people. See, I never played with that thing, so you got to play. All right, great. That's awesome. That's all I need. We're out of time, Nevo. First of all, thank you very much. At the AI Salon, you have earned what we call a very well-deserved golf clap. So everyone, please, a golf clap for Nevo. It is very late where you are. I so appreciate you being here. I know sort of scheduling this was crazy. So thank you so much. This was just awesome.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Nevo. Really inspiring, amazing. Really amazing.
Thank you, Nevo.
Now, if one quick question before I let you go. If anyone on this call does not have access to LTX Studios, is there any possibility of waitlist management?
Yes.
Awesome. So what's the process for that?
Send me an email with a number of people and I'll send you back an email with access codes for everyone.
Yay.
Oh, you're amazing. Amazing.
Fabulous. Thank you.
So Vicky Baptiste, if you will do the honor of sort of capturing who's here, and let's get that email to Nevo. Nevo, thank you so much. Really awesome.
Sure. I was happy to be here.
Great. Cheers. Thanks so much. And you don't have to stay. You're welcome to stay. We'd love you to stay, but I know it's very late there. So you're welcome to go take a nap now.
Thanks, guys.
Cheers.
Thank you, Nevo.
Okay, bye-bye.
Wow.
Okay. Wow. That was awesome.
Amazing.
Okay. Good. We're moving on. We don't have time to talk. Things are happening here at the AI Salon. Jason M. Allen. Very, very early on in the salon, one of the early salons, we showed this image and we talked about this thing that happened where in Colorado, there was an art contest and this image won. And it turns out it was AI generated. So the gentleman that created this art and won that contest is our speaker tonight. He's the founder of Art Incarnate. I'm so excited to have you here, Jason. Thank you for coming. Thank you for being here.
Thank you, Jason.
I'm going to turn it over to you. I don't want to take any time. I'm really excited to hear what you have to say. I'd love to hear the story of that, and what has happened since then. So
Sure.
I can imagine has been a ride.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Kyle. You can hear me okay?
Hear you great.
Yeah, you sound great.
Excellent. Well, I want to thank everybody for giving me this opportunity to speak with you today. I'm really excited that AI Salon reached out to me, especially given the landscape of AI art and where we're at. I just also want to say that Nevo put on a great presentation. LTX looks really fantastic, and that was great to learn that we're all going to get access codes to that here soon. So for those of you who don't know, my name is Jason M. Allen. I'm the founder and CEO of Art Incarnate. I'm going to do a quick overview of my journey that led to the development of Art Incarnate and how I became involved with AI art. So I'm going to speak for maybe 15, 20 minutes. That way we can open it up to questions at the end. So if you're going to be asking questions while I'm speaking, I might not see those. I just want to let you know that. So at the beginning of, what was this, 2022, I started seeing, I knew it was AI art, right? And I saw it, I knew what it was, I was on the fence about it. I didn't know exactly what to think about it, like a lot of people. But then come around March or April of that year, I started seeing artwork that I've never seen. And the most compelling art that I was seeing was coming out of a platform called Midjourney, and I don't need to educate you on what that is. Of course, everybody here is familiar. So as soon as I got onto Midjourney with access code, coincidentally from a nice lady on Twitter, I was like a kid in the candy store. I got in probably 2 weeks earlier than I would have otherwise. And I have a background in computer science, a bachelor's degree in computer science from Colorado Technical University. So I'm a very methodical, technical, ABC, process-oriented person. So I started integrating my own form of testing into Midjourney. And at the time, I wasn't a moderator officially on the Discord Midjourney server, but I was really engaged with the community, and I was helping people get introduced to the technology. And once I had completed my testing, as I was in the middle of my testing, I realized there was a tool that didn't exist. So I created the Artist's Visual Style Encyclopedia. Some of you may be familiar with that, and I shared that with the community, and it blew up. So I already started making a name for myself as Sincarnate in the Midjourney Discord server. Then I went on a 1-month hiatus because now that I had this tool, I started integrating it in with my testing. And one day, night, I was in a hypnagogic state, halfway dreaming, halfway imagining these women in Victorian dresses wearing space helmets. And I was thinking, wow, this is something I've never seen before. Like, that would be really, oh, hey, I could put this in the Midjourney. So I integrated this concept, which became space opera theater, with my testing, and Théâtre D'opéra Spatial was born, which is French for space opera theater. So I was getting one beautiful completion after the other. I realized that the Colorado State Fair was just around the corner, so I had multiple motivations. I can have ulterior motives. There's nothing wrong with that. I ultimately wanted to share my work with the world, but also wanted to bring this conversation, this debate of what is art, is this art, are you an artist, out of the basement of Discord and into the larger marketplace of ideas. And wow, I certainly accomplished that. Everybody wants to win. You don't go into a contest hoping to lose or not thinking you want to win. And some people were telling me I was going to win, and I was like, whatever happens, I'm just happy to share, what is possible with artificial intelligence now. But I won first place. And I was, smiling from ear to ear when this happened, but that quickly changed into a diatribe of constant battering. I was lambasted and admonished from every possible angle and every way that you could imagine from the art community. This was all coming from the art community. I want to stress that. I've seen the dark underbelly of what the art community has to offer. So I have a unique perspective on this. but I was getting nothing but love and admiration from the tech side. And now I don't want to throw all the art community under the bus, but that's where the predominant level of hate was coming from, and it was replete. So many people. And it still happens to this day, not so much as it was back then, because this was a new revelation. You know, artists, they couldn't believe it. They thought, oh, AI, that's not going to affect me. That's 10, 20 years down the road. Lo and behold, it's winning fine art competitions now. So that made me public enemy number one, as though I were to blame for having, contributed to the death of artistry as they knew it. And I was getting accused of a lot of those things. I was told that I should be ashamed of myself, that I should return the prize, that I should apologize, that I should kill myself. You know, a lot of these types. I even got some death threats. I don't share those, but I was interviewed by every major news outlet that you can imagine in every country. It was insane. It was a whirlwind.
Wow.
And for someone like me, who's just a regular guy, I mean, I owned a game company, Incarnate Games, rather. I was making board games, card games, things like that. And, I haven't really talked about this, but I thought, oh, hey, I could, because I've worked with a lot of artists, and they are very expensive, especially the pedigree that I was cultivating through Ascended Kings. At the time, we created a graphic novel. I worked with DC comic book artists, Ray Dillon and his lovely wife, Renee DeLise. I worked with Anthony Benedetto and Dylan Pierpont, who are amazing graphic designers and artists. One's a senior design manager at Microsoft now. I mean, so I have experience with this, and I know how expensive it is. And to be candid, I thought, well, I have a flagship product that I want to make, and it's going to be hundreds of illustrations. If something like this became available to me and powerful enough, I could actually create the art myself and integrate that into my board game. So, I haven't really talked about that, but that's down the road. Right now, we're focusing on art. And specifically fine art. That's what Art Incarnate is about, is bringing luxury AI art in physical format. So, of course, I could go on forever about Théâtre D'opéra Spatial and what happened, but ultimately this led to our copyright case, which is the most significant thing I want to cover today. But first, I want to acknowledge AI Salon's mission and your ethos of mindfully creating and generously leading. I agree with that 100%. Play, of course, everyone's learning AI in their own pace, in their own way, because using this technology is a very personal, intimate, sort of unique experience for every person. It's not like you have to follow this specific model or step-by-step process. And maybe artists don't understand that, especially ones classically trained. And they don't want to understand how the technology works. I've found that out. They're living in some form of willful ignorance where their vulnerable narcissistic tendencies can't let go, and they want to attack everybody for doing something that challenges the status quo. Of course, I don't want to put a blanket statement across all artists. It's just that I've seen it so much that at this point, if you don't understand how this technology works, it means you are living in a willful ignorance where you do not want to understand how it works, because you'll find out that we are right, that it's not just copy paste. It's not just pulling from a database of all of your images. That's just simply not how the technology works. And I've gone from being the punching bag of the art community to a staunch defender and advocate for AI technologies. And why is that? It's because not everybody is going to have the privileged opportunity of having a world famous, iconic piece of art that's basically kind of defining what, it's like a emblematic symbol of AI art, Théâtre D'opéra Spatial. So everyone knows who made it, except the Copyright Office. And so not everybody is going to have that privilege and opportunity. I'm very lucky for that, but I feel like also I'm in a unique position with my background. This is right in my wheelhouse, because I fought an IP lawsuit before from someone that tried to steal my property, and I won.
So I have some familiarity with this. And less than a month after, right, so just to put a cap on that, if they're still saying this stuff, which they are, some of them, the artists, about how this isn't artwork, you're not an artist, you should be ashamed, blah, blah, blah. This petulant argument no longer has any, I have no more sympathy. It's like, you've had the time, let's move on, I'm moving forward. So I want to stay positive, but that being said, we are in the middle of a copyright fight. So let's focus on that. The Copyright Office initially refused my registration summarily without much pomp and circumstance on December 13th, 2022. We registered or attempted to on September 21st in 2022. Then our first request for reconsideration was on January 24th, 2023. Oh, I better read this first. Their first refusal, I'm going to read over some of this. I'll try to be as brief as possible. Their first refusals noted that your client only provided prompts, instructions, or directions to the AI, but you have not deposited this human-generated material. Instead, all the pictorial and graphic content within the deposit is attributable to the AI. Your client did not paint, sketch, color, or otherwise fix any of the deposit. As for your position that your client is responsible for the AI's results, in our view, this does not define human author and authorship as we understand it. Only human authorship should be deposited and claimed, and you have not done this. Sounds pretty bleak. So then we, obviously, this is riddled with holes. There's a lot of problems with what they're saying, but I don't have time to get into all of that. On January 24th, we submitted our first request for reconsideration. On June 6th, 2023, they refused our first registration, saying the office reasoned that Midjourney, by its own description, does not interpret prompts or specific instructions to create a particular expressive result. Midjourney does not understand grammar, sentence structure, or words like humans. It instead converts words and phrases into smaller pieces called tokens that can be compared to its training data and then used to generate an image. The office further noted that Mr. Allen had no control over how the artificial intelligence tool analyzed, interpreted, or responded to these prompts, nor did he exercise any control over the actual creation, development, or execution of the image that Midjourney rendered on his screen. Simply put, the resulting image was the output of the artificial intelligence technology, and your correspondence does not identify any specific creative authorship in this image that can be attributed to Mr. Allen. Now, I will say quickly that they attribute the AI as the author, as they call it, appreciable AI material. And I just want to ask, how are you coming to this conclusion as though it's a foregone conclusion that it wasn't created using human authorship? Like they never answer this question. There is no evidence for that. They don't actually address it ever in any of our requests for reconsideration. I just wanted to point that out real quick. So then we filed our second request on July 12th, 2023. And on September 5th, there was a final refusal. You can only do 2 reconsiderations, and they refused it finally on September 5th. So now we're going into the appeal process. It was about a year time from the initial registration until where we are with the final refusal. And now it's coming up on another year where we're going into the appeal. So how much time do I have left? Just real quick. I want to.
We're at 6:34. You got 25 minutes. So listen, I mean, I want you to. This is deep and important stuff, and
it applies to all of us. It's really important.
So feel free to take the time you need. I know there's going to be a lot of questions,
right?
But I want you to be able to tell your story and share sort of where you are, because this is very important.
Yeah, so that's a good segue, because this is where we are now. Right. We're filing the appeal, and I just want to go over our highlighted arguments. And because my attorney is a badass. She is a total rock star. She is carpet bomb, scorched earth. The case that we're bringing to the court. So the USCO, the Copyright Office, they're not a regulatory body. I don't know if I'm saying that right. They don't have the final say. A judge has the final say. They're a rubber stamp. You know, they don't actually make these decisions based in any actual Title 17 laws and stuff like that. They're just like a guidelines sort of thing. The actual laws and things that come into play is when there's an infringement. And I don't want to get into that. So I will just go with where we're at with the copyright arguments. So A Copyright Office registration refusal is arbitrary and capricious if it fails to examine a submitted work for the minimum standards imposed by the Copyright Office. And here's those minimum requirements. Fixed in a tangible medium, which we did, sufficiently original, which it is, and containing human authorship. It wouldn't exist without me. How does this not how does this not constitute copyrightable material or copyright registration? The Act affords protection to original works, quote, original works of authorship fixed in any tangible medium of expression, now known or later developed, either directly or with the aid of a machine or device. Emphasis added. Courts have broadly interpreted this statute and the Compendium of Copyright Practices, allowing registration so long as the work is both original and contains human authorship. So the work is sufficiently original. Let's cover them one at a time. Original, as the term is used in copyright, means only that the work was independently created by the author, yours truly, as opposed to copied from other works. No one has seen this image. It has never existed. No one can point to or reference any other image that it's like or that it was ripped off from or anything like that, as far as I'm aware. And I've looked at a lot of art. So, and no one has made that argument. There is no case for that. So it's sufficiently original. Next, the work meets the widely accepted standard for originality. Mr. Allen created the work through an iterative and creative process of supplying hundreds of prompts to Midjourney, 624 to be exact.
I love that you.
Oh yeah, I was very
How many
methodical
times
and
have you said
meticulous
that?
about
That's
all this.
But that's not human authorship.
No, yeah, exactly.
Each tweaking the artistic structure and overall image to progressively get closer to fitting his artistic vision. Next, Allen's process is akin to a photographer taking numerous photographs to capture the perfect image that aligns with their image. I'm really cliff notesing all of this because, I mean, it's a 22-page document. We're not going to do all of that. The next part, human authorship. The work contains human authorship. Human authorship involves, because this is it. This is the point. This is the part where they're saying this is how they're refusing it. They're saying it has no human authorship. So here we are. Human authorship involves the exercise of creative control and decisive decision-making in production of the work. It is the author's selection, coordination, and arrangements of elements that result in the creation of the work. The law recognizes authorship even if the final product is created directly or with the aid of a machine or device. Next, the work is an embodiment of Mr. Allen's authorship. AI tools are analogous to cameras used in photography. And then we make a lot more points. I'm just going over the highlights. Next, and this is where I love this part. I had to include it. So this is the last part of the appeal that I'm going to go over. It's one page. So of the Compendium of Copyright Practices permitting copyright of the work. The office's use of section 313.2 of the Compendium of Copyright Office Practices to deny copyright protection for the work rests on a misinterpretation of this section's text. The section specifies that copyright will be denied for works where, quote, the traditional elements of authorship in the work were actually conceived and executed not by man, but by machine. This language provides a straightforward two-part test. This is genius. It's so great. I mean, it could be a movie. I'm not kidding. Like Ex Machina Part 2.
We'll make it with LTX.
Make it LTX.
Exactly.
So, a straightforward two-part test for determining whether a work is basically one of human authorship, where the machine is merely an assisting instrument, is as follows. Number one, the machine must have conceived of the traditional elements of authorship, and two, the machine must have executed the traditional elements of authorship. So first, A, the first point. The first part of this test fails. A human conceived of the elements of authorship. On this reading, first element of this test cannot be met in the case of AI-generated art as it exists today and as it functioned in the development of the work. Neither a machine nor an artificial intelligence program independently created the work. Rather, it is the result of a prompt dialogue resulting from a conceptual framework provided by a human. That human was me. Human input equals human authorship. Prove me wrong. Next, the prompt serves as the initial creative input, embodying the human's original idea and vision for the artwork. The AI system functions merely as a tool to assist in the actualization of a human's creative ideal, akin to a camera executing the human-conceived prompt to generate the final image. Okay, so I'm not going to go over all the rest of that, but that's the first part of the test fails. The second part of the test also fails. A human executed the elements of authorship. The second element of the test outlined in section 313.2, that the machine must have executed the traditional elements of authorship, also fails in this case. While the AI system did execute some of the traditional artistic elements similar to how a camera or a digital audio workstation may, but this execution was done at the behest of a human. Unlike Thaler, I'm not going to go over his case. He made a lot of things confusing for everybody. Anyways, next. The examples provided in section 313.2 support this distinction. The common link between the provided examples is that they either, one, mechanically change the format of a work without altering its artistic, this isn't making any sense. I don't want to get into like the specific examples because you really have to dive into the copyright law in order to see what the lawyers are doing here. So I'll just get to the grand finale of these last 2 points. The work falls into neither of these categories that I was just talking about, that you'd have to read the copyright law to know what they're talking about. Mr. Allen did not click a single button upon which the AI generated the image randomly. Rather, he actively directed the creation process through hundreds of prompts, meticulously shaping the scene and directly influencing the final output. Furthermore, he made material adjustments, et cetera, et cetera. So, I mean, we're just demonstrating this more. And then the final part, and I love this. Because Midjourney cannot independently conceive of creative ideas without human input, and anybody with a IQ over room temperature would know that, the first prong of this test under 313.2 is not satisfied, and the office's refusal to register the work based on the belief that it is not human authorship is unfounded. Additionally, the AI system was used as a tool to realize my vision, and I employed multiple software programs to develop the final product. Thus, the second element of the test cannot be met either. Even if only one element of the test is unmet, the work is therefore that of human authorship, and copyright may not be denied. In this case, neither element of this test is met, so both of them fail, and the refusal to register the copyright claim of the work should be set aside and the registration allowed. Now, that's just the cliff notes going over our appeal. It is so fantastic.
Mind-blowing.
Like,
it's amazing.
My attorney and the arguments that we bring to bear have encapsulated the minds and ideas of just so many academics and professors and other attorneys and lawyers that came out of the woodwork when they refused my registration. The Copyright Office paraded it around, posting it on their website as though it was some kind of achievement that they refused Théâtre D'opéra Spatial from copyright. Why is this such a big deal? Why am I so passionate about this? It's because we have no recourse to do anything about whatever anybody wants to do with anything that you create using artificial intelligence. And they outright say this. They'll come out, and I've been attacked this way many times. Oh, these are some really nice images that you're creating. I'm just going to go ahead, and they'll say this on social media directly. I'm going to take your stuff and I'm going to sell it, and I'm not even going to change anything, and there's nothing you can do about it. It's like, is this the society? We live in a society.
Right.
Is this the culture that we're trying to, promulgate? Is this what we want?
Well, this is what it's going to turn into. If
Right.
artists don't own their copyrights, which is the precedent for this country, that's how creative people have made a living. That's how we do it.
Yeah, it was a deal.
The entire career of a creative person has to be rethought.
Right. And so the argument that these artists are making, that this is an artwork and you're not an artist and you're just, a word salad, you didn't create this. I respectfully disagree. The intention is there. I'm not going to argue whether or not I made it. What I'm arguing is that if we allow that mentality to carry out to its fullest logical conclusion, nothing will be copyrightable. Yep. Everything is already using artificial intelligence in some form or another in the digital world. Unless you want to burn your own fire to collect your own coal and weave your own canvas and make your own charcoal paintings or whatever to get your copyright. This is ridiculous. We're not cave people. This is the purpose of technology, to become more efficient, faster, better, stronger, etc. I think this is better than art. It's above art, beyond art, better than art. And if you can't copyright this, then it's going to realize the very reality that they're afraid of from happening most, which is that nothing will be copyrightable.
Right.
And just one example about that is if you've heard of the Library of Babel, everything already exists. It's just an address. So the technology will become sufficiently advanced enough one day in the future that you could have some master painter sit down in his kitchen and paint an original work of art, and it could be immediately captured and then located in latent space using the address of this advanced technology, proving mathematically that his work already pre-existed, therefore it's not copyrightable as a pre-existing work. This is stupid. This is stupid. Okay, so anyway, I'm going to get off my soapbox with that. I want to talk a little bit about what we can do about this, right? So there is a call to action here. I need your support. This is going to affect all of us in the long run. Imagine this is a landfall whirlwind appeal. If we win in the first round of this, it's going to have long-lasting, reaching implications for everybody. And it's important that we win this case. And that's why I'm seeking community support in fighting this legal battle. It's going to be, I mean, if they dismiss the case and it goes to the Second Court of Appeals, and if they dismiss it and it goes all the way to the Supreme Court, do you realize how much money that's going to cost? Like, it's just going to be the litigation cost alone, $100,000 easy. So I want to encourage donations to aid in my legal efforts. The funds will directly impact this case and the future of artificial intelligence and art, because we're the tip of the spear. There's other people who have raised cases like Thaler, who wanted to attribute the authorship to the machine. I don't understand this. And then, of course, there's Chris Kashtanova, who she originally got her copyright with a graphic novel that she created, and then they rescinded it. But this is about like the purest form, single image copyright, the classic copyright case. And we're the first to be raising an appeal for that. So I just humbly ask for your support. If you can go to artincarnate.com, you can see the donate button on the left margin, or there's a button there in our actual body text as well. So I have an exclusive for you, though, that kind of covers everything that I wanted to say about the appeal. I have a video. So, because I didn't really go over the story so much, I know I'm short on time, but one of the first things I thought when I won and I was getting all this hate is, how could I make this the most art as possible? Like, how could I make it look like it was literally painted oil on canvas? Does this technology exist? And I searched everywhere for a long time, and I almost gave up when I found this book in the AI and business section at Barnes & Noble. I started reading it. I'm like, I'm not going to buy this. I'll just get it on Audible. So I'm listening to it on Audible in my car on the way home, and they bring up The Next Rembrandt. Now, if you're not familiar with The Next Rembrandt, check it out. This was Osei. They're no longer, they were consumed by a larger company. Anyway, they used artificial intelligence to imagine what the next painting by Rembrandt would have been.
Wow.
And then they generated it, and then they used a proprietary modified technology to print it as though it were literally oil on canvas, complete with like impasto, brush strokes, everything. So it's like physically, tactically, actually like a painting. And I'm like, it does exist. How did they do this? So I found that company, and I worked with them to create the first AI generated Tradigital elevated print. That's what I call them. So this is part of my Tradigital Lux line, and this is high-end luxury AI art that I'm producing. Here's so I showcased this in Dubai. I was invited as a speaker on 3 different panels at the Museum of the Future when I went to Dubai, and I showcased it there. But I have I've never shown this video anywhere publicly yet, so I'm going to go ahead and share my screen, and I hope that everything works.
Yeah, if you share your tab, it should allow you to click share your audio.
Oh, okay. Well,
Or if you're going to share, if you're just going to share, like if you're just going to play it locally on your computer, then just make sure in your settings that what we did with Nevo, that your
Noise cancellation
is turned off.
Right. Well, let me know if you can hear the music, because there's no speaking in this. If you can't hear the music, I'll just continue to talk, but let me know if you can see this.
You can see that. No music yet.
Good. Do you hear the music?
No.
Okay.
Go
well,
into
then
your
that's fine.
Go into your setting. Just stop for a second. Just go into your settings and turn off noise cancellation.
Oh, so it's just classical music. You can imagine.
This is amazing.
Yeah. So like, I'm just going to speak to it. Actually, it'll be better.
Great.
It'll be less distracting. So if you can see, as this video showcases this technology, you can see the texture.
Oh God.
So this is not an embellishment. I want to stress that it's not an embellishment. It's not like I did after painting or anything like that. This is printed in layers. So this is literally a 3D printed painting. And this technology came out literally 2 or 3 months before I won the competition at the Colorado State Fair. So I found the technology, and this is it. Now you can tell that there's some brush strokes and palette knife techniques and impasto, things like that. But since we're actually constructing this in 3D space using ZBrush, we made some creative decisions about like how the ladies sort of come out in 3 dimensions, and we like made their dresses smooth versus, you know, like the impasto textured versions that are in the portal. So there's a lot of things that are going on that we are experimenting with, and I couldn't be happier with the results. So this is my Tradigital Luxe luxury AI art prints, and I haven't actually sold these yet through a lot of different complications that have occurred over the past year or so, because I was going to reveal this in many different ways, and just the way that things work and agreements that were made and other engagements that fell through have prevented that. But that all that being said, this is like one of those, a smaller version of that.
Wow.
We made it. This is actually the piece that I showcased in Dubai. And what's awesome about this is that you can touch it. So you can actually experience the art in a way that has never been possible before. You wouldn't be able to. So like the Mona Lisa, it's tangible, it's touchable, but you would only touch it once, and your experience after that wouldn't be very nice for you after that.
And just to be clear, is this something, so you now have the technology to be able to make these prints for other people for their art?
Right. So now what you're talking about is future endeavors that I am currently formulating. That's called Artifex Machina. So Artifex Machina is my art guild that that's currently in development, that will provide a road, a path to Tradigital Luxe. So there'll be more information to come about that. So Artifex Machina is Latin for artist machine. And I figure, you know, yes, I put my art into an art contest, and people were saying, but why do you say that you're not an artist? It's because, well, I'm going way off base here. So I'm trying to cover too many things at the same time. Essentially what I'm saying is I extended an olive branch to the art community, and they rejected me. I'm an outcast, rejected whole cloth. So I'm going to consider what we're doing as sans the art community. Now, they're welcome, of course, but you have to be a believer in AI, a believer in AI creativity, AI assisted art, things like that, because there's just there's no room in Artifex Machina for people who are wanting to subvert that, or because this is kind of like a war.
Well, you got the whole flippin' AI Salon as your first customer base.
Awesome.
I can promise you that. So we've got 6 minutes left, Jason. I know Corey Sandler had her hand up for a long time. I want to get Corey, Rick, and Jane. That's probably all we'll have time for, but let's at least let's do that, because I'd love to get some questions. This is awesome and amazing. So Corey.
My question, if I can remember what it was back then, was if something like this were to come up with one of us, what are the steps that one has to take to fight this?
Right. If you were to attempt to get copyright registration for your work, you're saying?
Yeah. How would we go about doing this?
This is why it's a total joke. It's a complete sham. Basically, they are relying on the registrant to disclose whether or not you used appreciable AI material to create your work. So it's on a case-by-case basis. Who's going to be honest about that? Who's not going to be honest about that? This is ridiculous. This is a non-standard.
Yeah.
So they, it's like an honor system or whatever. It's like, and then they literally say case-by-case basis, they'll evaluate whether or not your work is copyrightable. And what's so funny about it is that the actual, her mind is slipping. Her name is Shira Perlmutter, in her official capacity as the Registrar of Copyrights and the Director of the United States Copyright Office, actually said in a Bloomberg Law interview that I was on that prompting and using AI in a certain way may bring itself to a point that it rises to the occasion of copyrightability. And I was like, if my case didn't rise to the level of copyrightability, then nobody's is, because I know the process that I went through to create this image, and it is absolutely mine. So if they're not going to give me copyright when I disclose that I used AI, then they're not going to give it to anybody. But to answer your question, there are ways that you can already circumvent the system in order to get your work copyrighted. Recently, there was a woman this year who AI generated flowers, and then she literally one-to-one painted those flowers exactly the same. She literally copied it and then took that painting that she painted and took to the copyright office, and she got copyright for her AI generated art because she painted it. And it's like, this is so redundant and nonsense. Like the level of arguments and things I could say about that. So I mean, if you want to do that, you could do it. But the problem with that is I actually am crazy enough that I printed out a grid of 130,000 pixels, each the size of about a 1/4 inch, and I was going to color pencil, like color by number, Théâtre D'opéra Spatial, like recreate it, and I was going to try to copyright that. I'm not this crazy. I'm crazy. But the point of it, if I were to do that and then they gave me copyright, this would put them in a bad situation. First of all, if they copyrighted just like they copyrighted the girl with the flowers, then it undermines them because it's the same image. It's the same. And if they don't copyright it, then it proves that they have a double standard. So that would put them in a bad.
What you're doing is you're copyrighting a technique, which is a paint by numbers, as you say. You're not copyrighting the idea of the painting, or in my case, a series of images that are a grouping of images.
Right, exactly. And the purpose and function behind the copyright is to protect creativity, to protect the ideas of the author. And they're just wanting to say, like, as though I'm with a foregone conclusion that I didn't make this. I mean, they say it. They just say it that I didn't make it. And it's so infuriating. That's why I'm so animated about it.
Let's go to Rick McCauley.
Yeah, absolutely, Jason. You're right on point. I'm a friend with Chris Casanova, and I've talked with her extensively about her case. In her case, it was one image in Midjourney that was not copyrighted. It was refused after first being accepted. The collection of many images and a storyline that turned into a fanzine, Zariah Dead, is what she did establish copyright for. The established accreditation right now is the amount of human capital invested to make it. So I've been working with Adobe using their content authenticity initiative, the CAI, that you should definitely take a look at.
Yeah, I'm familiar with that.
Is they're using the New York Times, for example, they'd put the photographs together with a story, and then you would fingerprint it, and then you would know that's authentic.
Right.
If we create, and it's a provenance idea, which goes back to the history of art. Can you prove that's actually done by Salvador Dali back in the day? And where's the provenance of ownership of that thing? So an ownership of an idea can be transformed into this same thing. So I've asked Adobe to work with the Copyright Office, give them a blockchain reference, a reverse image search that you could do, and then you could establish your provenance for how you created that artwork. put it in there, have it judged and then vetted. And then the Copyright Office, which has always been a problem, intellectual property can be as good as money in the bank because
I've
you
heard
have
this.
a provenance chain of how that works. So that's where we really need to spend our energy, because there's no doubt that you invested human capital to the point that you earned ownership of that property, which is your intellectual property. And we're working into an intellectual property economy. Everything that all of us do is that. I'm an educator. The only thing I have is what's in my brain. And if we can't protect it like we do money, we've lost everything. All of our humanity is gone. So
I agree with that.
In the big fight. Appreciate you.
Yes, sir. So I would go even further and say that what you're defining as human capital is also part and parcel to using the AI itself. Like it's multimodal by its nature. It requires human interactivity in order to function. So, I mean, without getting too far down in the weeds with that, the problem that the Copyright Office is saying without saying it is that we've achieved AGI. And it's like, where are you coming up with this? Like, you're just assuming it, because it's actually not even AI. If you want to be like, get really to it, it's not artificial intelligence. It's a glorified matrix calculator.
Right.
Like, that's what it is.
Yeah.
I love how they say all you did was a prompt. All I've done as a photographer in 50 years is push my finger down by comparison. So there's no comparison there. It's my 50 years of life that makes my images so much more valuable and have meaning and impact. And the fact that you won a contest means that other human beings verified the artistic nature of what you created to be worthy of first place.
Beautiful.
Awesome, Rick. I appreciate your comments. Thank you so much.
We are out of time. First of all, Jason, thank you. This is absolutely incredible. Sorry, Jane, I didn't get to your question, but I just want to be respectful of everyone's time. Jason, thank you so much for your time and your passion, and the fact that you're fighting this fight. And it's almost like you are fighting just idiocy at this point, right? So
I agree with that.
So what I'd like to offer, I'd like to stay connected with you. I think this actually makes really good sense for the AI Salon to take a position on with you.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I would love to coordinate that with you. Yeah. We've got a policy guild run by Daisy Thomas, who's just amazing at this stuff. And we also have some possibility, if we do that right, to maybe put out a press release or something like that, and get some visibility for this in whatever way we can help. So if you're open to that, I would love to just collaborate on that and offer that support, because hopefully that can lead to other support.
I think it's one of the most pressing issues, right? I mean, there's so much with generative AI, and we've learned so much in the salon, but if there's one piece that is absolutely necessary for the life of artists, is that we are able to copyright what we create, just like we always have, right?
Yeah, this is a landmark key
register my photographs, but like, it's just a machine. And I think that the world is so afraid of this technology, and so they don't understand they don't understand it, they don't get it. It's just a machine. And that's not something people even understand. And that is something that has to happen, or else everything we know as a creator in this country is going to change. And I'm terrified of that. I mean, I own all my IP, right? Every image I've made, I own the rights to it. I own the copyright, and I can license it. And that's been the basis of my business. That's how I've been. And that's absolutely imperative. So we are 100% behind you, and would love to get more involved in your cause.
Perfect. Yeah, if you guys reach out to me, I really appreciate the offer of support. And I can't tell you how, how grateful and meaningful that is to me, because this is important. And I think, especially speaking to a bunch of fellow AI artists, that you recognize that. And well, we're going to be filing the appeal before Labor Day.
Great.
So if we can coordinate along with that'll be perfect.
Awesome. Perfect. Jason, thank you for doing this. Really
big golf clap for Jason.
Yeah, huge golf clap.
Thank you all for being here, as always. I know that there was a lot tonight. There's a lot to take in, a lot to process. And wow, that was amazing.
What a night. Thank you.
Thank you.
And Kyle, as always, a pleasure to do this. Thank you for all your work with the salon.
Yep. All right, guys. Thanks, everybody. And
good night, everyone.
Thank you.
Guys.
Good night.
See you in 2 weeks.
Bye-bye.
Bye, everyone.
Good night, then.
Good night.
It tells me I can't leave because Kyle hasn't stopped the recording.